What is going on, everybody? My name is Jay. This is Unplayable, and today I'm going to be bringing you my top 10 games so far of 2024. Now, there are a couple caveats here. I have not played every game from 2024 so far. So if there's games on this list or games missing from this list, there's a good chance it's because I didn't play it yet. I only can play so many games so often, and there's actually not that many 2024 games that I've played so far, which is actually really surprising to me. But I've played enough to be able to give you what I think are the best 10 so far that I've played for this year. I'll update this list later on when I've played more 2024 games, probably early next year or something like that. So this is gonna be kind of like a hot takes, what games I've played that I've enjoyed the most, and I'll rank them in order from 10 to 1, how much I've enjoyed them. There are quite a few 2024 games that I really want to try that would probably make this list, but I'll update it and hopefully those will have been played by the time I update the list and I'll add them. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, number 10. Now this is a game that I've played quite a few times. I played it at Gen Con. I actually played in a tournament of it at Gen Con and actually had a lot of fun with it. In my original review, I did with Mike and we said we weren't backing it, and neither of us did back it. But I am interested in trying more of it and maybe like playing it casually. That's gonna be the Altered TCG. The Altered TCG is kind of a unique card system. Think algorithmically generated cards like Keyforge did, except it's per card and it's not per deck, and you get to actually build your deck in this game, and it's very unique. It's not like other TCGs where it's like trying to either race for lore or to forge keys. It's not the first one to deal 20, 30 damage to your opponent's base or character. This game is about taking 2 tokens on each side of the map and making them meet in the middle somewhere, and the first one that has those 2 tokens meet is going to win. There's 2 separate arenas like Star Wars Unlimited where you're trying to vie for control, very Marvel Snappy, except just like 2 areas, and you get to trigger cards when you play them or when they go into what's called like the reserve, and you can play cards from your reserve. So cards kind of have a dual life where you play them once and then you can put them in your reserve and play them again, but then when you play them from your reserve they go to your discard pile. It's a cool little mechanic that they've added. It's neat. I think it's very fun to play. It's enjoyable. I don't think that it's going to be something that I dive into competitively, but I can see why people would want to do that. I think it was good enough. I enjoyed it enough to make my top 10 list. So there you have it, Altered TCG. All right, number 9. This is a game that I don't actually own, but I've played at least 2 or 3 times this year. This is a game called River of Gold. This is from Asmodee and it's in the Legends of the Five Ring universe, which is cool because that universe I think is pretty neat. A lot of great artwork. I just enjoy that kind of thematic setting. So it's cool to have another game in that universe that's not the card game or the LCG. This is a kind of rondel style game where you're moving a boat along a river and then you restart at the top of the river when you go through, and you're taking different actions based on the dice that you roll and where you are in the river. You're trying to influence and move up different tracks. You're trying to gain ally cards that give you special abilities. You're trying to gain favor so that you can spend those to manipulate your die. There's a lot of really cool mechanics in this game. It feels a lot like a game I really enjoy. It's called Icky. Icky is one of my favorite games of the year that it came out. I actually think that game is fantastic, and this game feels a lot like that game because it's the same kind of rondel mechanic, and where you stop, you're going to be doing different things, moving up tracks. So if you've played that game, this is similar to it. The one thing about this River of Gold is that the production is insane. The board has foiling on it, the cards are really nice. Everything about the production of this game is really, really good. And then halfway through the game, there's kind of a emperor that does a procession through the river and triggers all of the different locations for everybody that has built buildings out on the river. So you kind of get like this income phase that happens halfway through the game. It's pretty cool. It's a fun game. I enjoyed it enough to make my top 10. So there you have it, River of Gold. Number 8 is another game I don't own, but I've played twice, and that's called Cities. Cities is from Phil Walker Harding and Dr. Finn and Devere Games, a very small box, very condensed. What I will say about this game in general is it's a very condensed game. It's a drafting game where every round you're going to be drafting from 4 different sections of the board, but you can draft in whatever order you want, and it goes around in a circle until everyone's drafted 4 things, which is 1 from each of the sections. One of them is going to be a scoring card, one's going to be tiles or buildings that you put on your board, or little tiles that you're going to be putting out. Basically, it's just a tile placement, kind of building placement, 3D structure scoring system. It's very, very streamlined, super smooth. It's interesting. The production is great. I love the looks. I love the modularity of the public goals, how you can take it out or flip it over and play with the different ones, and they have promos, and I imagine that an expansion can eventually come out to introduce a bunch of different ways of scoring for public objectives. And then, I mean, even that deck that is all scoring cards can be completely replaced with an expansion deck that adds new various ways of scoring. It's so streamlined. It's very good for what it is. I liked it a lot. I think that it would be one that I would buy. I think they really knocked it out of the park with this one. That is Cities. All right, number 7, Rock Hard 1977. Now this is a game I've reviewed on the channel, and I've played through it and taught you how to play. So if you want to know how to play, or you want to see my full review, go check those videos out. But otherwise, it's a game from Rockstar Jackie Fox, where you are a rock star, up and coming, trying to make it in the world, basically, trying to become a rock star. You're very lowly when you start, you don't have a lot of money, you're working a normal job, and then by the end, you are playing in huge stadiums, you have crew, you're making money, you're making moves, you are a rock star. You're out there crowd surfing. It's a very fun thematic game. It's a pretty light worker placement game that has a lot of small rules. So it's somewhere in between what I would call like a light worker placement game and a mid worker placement game. It's somewhere in the middle there. It's like a little gray area. I think it's fantastic. I've enjoyed every play I've had of it. I've had several, and I keep wanting to come back to it and see what else I can discover about the game and all the different flavor texts and different special things that happen, special abilities you get from the different rock stars you can be. I think the game is fantastic. I really truly do like this game. I think it's getting about the same amount of traction in terms of enjoyability. People are saying, you know, it's a good game, it's not great, it's samey, not a lot of strategy. I am higher up on this game than those people. I think this game is a lot more fun than people are letting on to be. People are just way too accustomed to playing heavy Euro games or Ameritrashy games. That kind of lighter side of worker placement Euro games gets kind of tossed to the side. I think this one is fantastic, and I do think the theme helps a lot. I think the theme is shreds. I think it's awesome. So that definitely makes me higher on it than probably most people, but I love it. I think it's a great game. So Rockstar 1977. Number 6, this is a game that I didn't know too much about. I did a review on this one and a playthrough, so check it out. Kinfire Delve. Mike introduced me to this company and their games, and I'm so glad he did, because their games are freaking great. They are top-notch games, from production to design, mechanics, and fun factor. I think that the Kinfire series is wonderful. Kinfire Delve is their smaller box versions of their Kinfire games, and it's a 1 to 2 player game in one box. You could play 3 to 4 players if you get 2 boxes, but either way, it just feels so good to play. It's simple to get out, simple to teach, easy to get going, but has a depth of strategy that not all games can kind of accomplish in this small, tight package. I mean, it's just a bunch of cards that you have out on the table, and you have your own decks. You get to pick your own characters. The production, don't even get me started on the production. The production of these decks and cards and the artwork is just, I mean, way beyond so many other publishers that exist right now. I think Kinfire is here to stay. I think it'll get more traction as time goes by, because Kinfire Chronicles is awesome. So I expect big things from this company, Incredible Dream. So Kinfire Delve, there's not too much to say about it besides it's a light I compared a lot to Marvel Champions. I know they're very drastically different games, but they give me the same feeling when I'm playing it, especially since you have your own unique character and deck, and you're doing similar things with progress tokens and all that. So it's like a light version of that you can just get out and play. I think it's fantastic. Kinfire Delve. Number 5. Now this game came out way early this year, so it's easy to forget that it did. That is Wyrmspan. Wyrmspan is literally, in my opinion, a better Wingspan. Now, I still own Wingspan, and I have a bunch of the expansions, and I think Wingspan is incredibly fun. And with some of the newer expansions like Oceania, it adds a lot of depth to the game, and it changes enough to make it fresh and not so light, and just changes it up so that you have more stuff to do, more interesting bird abilities, all of that. Wyrmspan takes that and says, I'm just gonna make a base game that has all of this cool, more in-depth strategic resource manipulation in one game, in one box. I think if this was Wingspan when it came out, it would have been perfect for me. Not that Wingspan wasn't great, because I do think Wingspan is great. I think it was deserved of all of the hype that it got and how, you know, widespread the game was, which is still baffling to me. But Wyrmspan, I think, is the better game. I really do think that. I like the way the game plays. It is a lot more. So like teaching someone base game Wingspan is so much easier than teaching them Wyrmspan. So keep that in mind. This is heavier for sure, but I just really like the cadence of it. Something about the extra that it adds feels a lot more strategic. So that is my number 5. Wyrmspan. All right, number 4. This is not a game I've talked about on the channel yet, but it's a game that I've played 8 sessions of. That is Primal: The Awakening. This game finally released to Kickstarter backers this year, and boy, oh boy, is this game insane. You know what's really funny is when I was taught this game, the guy that taught me compared this to the feeling that Marvel Champions gives. And I just talked about Kinfire, which is a smaller version of Marvel Champions, more condensed. This is a bigger version. This one is way more grandiose, huge box, hulking miniatures, but does kind of give you that feel of Marvel Champions with progress counters, with your own personalized deck. In this game, you actually get to customize your deck as you play. So it does kind of have some of that feeling of Marvel Champions, except with the more spatial presence with the board and the miniatures and all that stuff. So this is a big, giant, hulking campaign game. This is not a game you're gonna buy, and it's not cheap. It's very expensive. This is not a game you're gonna buy and play a couple times. This is not a game you're gonna buy and not try to go through the campaign. You have to play this game playing the campaign, and then once you've experienced that, they do have ways to play like one-shots, which is fine, but I think the draw of this game is definitely gonna be the campaign progression system that they have. There are so many monsters, cards for characters, terrain types, weapons, armor, gear, so much in this game that just adds a ton of variability and replayability to it. It's hard to kind of explain what the game is about because it's such a massive game, but the theme of like slaying monsters, using their resources so that you can craft better weapons, so that you can go fight other monsters that are, you know, wreaking havoc on terrains and cities and villages and all that kind of stuff. And there is a story and lore that you kind of can unravel as you play through. There is a lot of text in this game in terms of reading lore in between missions, which I think is very cool. It's kind of Dark Souls-y too, where it's like hidden stuff and you kind of gotta piece things together. That's very fun, especially for those who like diving into that, and then those of us who just like to look it up and read it all online. But the game is so much fun. I've played a lot of this game and I very much look forward to playing more of it. So there you have it, Primal: The Awakening. Wonderful, wonderful game that released this year. Real quick before I go to the next one, if you have any games that you think should be in the top 10 list of 2024 so far, please leave them in the comments, and please leave a like on this video. That really helps with engagement for content creators. The best thing you can do for content creators: liking their videos, sharing their videos, commenting on their videos. That helps with our engagement, and it helps spread our videos so we can get more eyes on our content. So thank you, and let's continue. Number 3, Pagan: The Fate of Roanoke. I'm not even gonna pretend here. It's over there. This is a fantastic game that is being published by Capstone for the US. This game came out a couple years ago, like in Germany and Europe somewhere, but it's finally making its way to the US. Now, technically, it released a couple years ago, but it's released in the US this year as of Gen Con. So for me, this game came out this year. So, Pagan, Fate of Roanoke. This is arguably one of my favorite two-player games of all time. You are either a witch or a witch hunter, and at the start of the game, there are 9 villagers on the board. You randomly pick one to be the witch, and the witch hunter is trying to figure out which one of those villagers is the witch. You're doing this by placing 3 workers every round. When you place workers, you're going to be either passing secrets or getting clues on these different workers, and you're converting them into favors or using them to get, the whatever the boots are called, the boot icons are called, and using that stuff to either throw the witch hunter off your track or exonerating villagers, basically, by drawing from the deck and being like, okay, so this is not the witch. Okay, this is not the witch. And trying to piece that with which characters that the witch is influencing the most, because the witch wins influencing herself enough that she can go there and inside a ritual. The witch hunter wins if he can kill the witch before that happens. Now, you get 3 tries. If you kill 3 villagers and none of them are the witch, then you lose. And if the witch incites the ritual, then you lose. There's so much that I enjoy about this game. Each player is asymmetric with cool, like some variability in terms of actions that they can take. They have unique decks, which are completely different from the other with what they do and what kind of card types exist. It's so much fun. If you like 2-player card games, this one melds with board gaming in a completely unique and very fun way. So Pagan, very high on my list. Pagan, Fate of Roanoke. Number 2, I was wishy-washy with this one and Pagan, which one is gonna be 2 and 3. This one just barely ekes out past Pagan, and I've actually played both of these, I think, the same amount of times, which was 5 games of each in the last month, which is a lot of playing a single game in 1 month. That's not a TCG. So that's Arcs. This is a very divisive game. This is a very cutthroat game. Some people love this game, say it's game of the year. Others are saying this game sucks. Why does anybody actually enjoy this game? I think this game is so much fun. It's very cutthroat. So going into it, you have to know you are going to be fighting each other. It is a knife fight in a phone booth, ramming your ships into your opponent's ships, raiding their cities so that you can steal various people or various resources. You're gonna be taxing their cities, taking captives. You're gonna be killing their things so you can score warlord points. It is a conflict game. There's no sugarcoating it. If you don't like playing games that have a lot of conflict, this is not a game for you. But if you like cutthroat games, if you have siblings like mine, where you play 3 players, 4 players of siblings, and you like fighting with your siblings and stealing their resources, this is the game for you. I have not seen so much bickering between my other siblings than playing this game. It's actually hilarious. But there's a lot about this game. There's tons of content out there you can go watch and figure out how to play or see what it's like. There's a trick-taking element. There is randomness in what cards you get, but it's very tactical and, in my opinion, incredibly fun to try and figure out how to win. So that's my number 2, Arcs. My number 1, you've probably guessed it. This was the easiest number 1 to pick in the whole entire list of lists that I've ever done. That is Star Wars Unlimited. Star Wars Unlimited released in 2024. It is a TCG regarding Star Wars. Thematically, it's Star Wars. We make a lot of content for it. I play a lot of games for it. There's not much to say besides how awesome this game is and how awesome that the designers are, the people working on the game, the employees at FFG that work with content creators, art directors, OP directors. This game is phenomenal. They did a fantastic job. They have something special in their hands, and I just hope that it continues being, the behemoth of a card game that it has shown itself to be. Tons of players, tons of support for it, and I very much look forward to its future. I love playing this game. I've played hundreds and hundreds of matches of Star Wars Unlimited, and I will continue to do so. So that is my number 1, Star Wars Unlimited. All right, there you have it, folks. That is my top 10 games of 2024. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you have a top 10 list of 2024, please let me know in the comments what yours are. Tell me what games I'm missing. Tell me what I'm wrong about. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.